The first trimester was rough, to say the least, for me. I had to get hospitalized for vomiting for 15 hours plus. Oh my God, it's been a minute. Welcome to my first trimester recap. I've been waiting for the day I could film this video. I can't believe it's actually here. I can't believe I'm here. It's crazy. It's amazing. I wrote down a bunch of stuff that I wanted to talk about that happened throughout my first trimester. So let's just really dive right in because there's lots to share. What basically happened was I found out I was pregnant, and then the same day I started to come down with a cold. I found out literally as early as you could possibly find out. So 3 weeks-ish, like when I was 3-4 weeks when I was supposed to get my period, then I got a cold. So I was like trying to bask in the joy of the pregnancy and the news, but then I got sick. So then I was dealing with the sickness. Then once my cold went away, the nausea started. And I'm pretty sure that was like at 5.5 weeks, like really early, like 5.5 weeks, 6 weeks-ish. The word nausea I'm even sick of because of how often I used it in the first trimester, creeping into the second. I'm not even a nauseous person I was never a nauseous person to begin with. So dealing with the nausea was definitely new for me. How to manage it, how to combat it, and it was from one day to the next severe. So every morning I would wake up, I would throw up. I learned over the months what I needed to do to manage it the best I could. But it took me a while to figure it out. Like a lot of people do, they brush their teeth in the morning. I didn't realize that the toothpaste was making me even sicker. So it took me basically till the second trimester to figure out that that wasn't helping, but I just wanted to brush my teeth in the morning. So I was continuing to do that. And then this is gonna be TMI, by the way. If you're grossed out easily, click out of this video. I would be brushing my teeth and then throw up in the sink. This throw up was just basically bile, just dry heaving bile type of thing, because I would go obviously the whole night not eating. So there was not much left in my system to come up, but bile. I learned very quickly that I needed to have a piece of food in my mouth within a few minutes of waking up. I would brush my teeth, pee, and then run downstairs and put a piece of toast in the toaster and down that right away. If I did not do that, it was even more throw up for a longer period of time. What I also learned was I could not drink any water before eating. Now, that was a huge issue for me and a huge learning curve for me because I'm a mouth breather when I sleep, so my mouth and my throat and my tongue get very dry, and I always have a big glass of water on my nightstand, and in the morning, the first thing I want to do, even throughout the night, is drink and sip on some water. Learned the hard way that downing water in the morning on an empty stomach when you're nauseous was not good, but sometimes I was so thirsty, and the pregnancy made me even thirstier, that I would down it even though I knew it was coming back up. I would be so thirsty and I would have it in a tumbler, so it was icy and cold. And when you're thirsty and it's right there and your mouth is dry, I just couldn't stop myself. So, but I would try the majority of the time to not have the water until I had a couple bites of toast and then I could drink. But I learned the hard way for those first few weeks, and I was downing the water. The fatigue in the first trimester hits you like a bus, or at least it hit me like a bus. And I say like a bus because I'm a person with a lot of energy, a lot of spunk. I like to do things. I wake up at a good hour. I go to bed at a good hour to have the most of my day. On weekends, I don't like to sleep in. I like to have a lot of energy and do a lot of things throughout the day. The fatigue was definitely a challenge for me. It was feeling okay, I'm not even showing yet. This is still so early, but I'm feeling I weigh 1,000 pounds and I haven't even gained any weight yet or whatever. It was very, very weird mentally to deal with the fatigue, and I was very hard on myself, and I'm still struggling with that. To just rest when I feel I need rest. I was battling with myself of how unproductive I was feeling or being, battling the nausea and the fatigue and the vomiting in the first trimester. Basically, what ended up happening was I took like an unplanned leave of absence from my work. I say that because I'm a one-man show, so I do everything. I wasn't completely off of work, but I was definitely significantly like working less. So it felt like it was literally like a leave of absence. The work was piling up, the shoots were piling up, the video editing was piling up. I was scraping by doing the bare minimum that I possibly could, that like the things that I had to do, the shoots that were planned ahead of time, months ahead of time. And I was just like doing the shoots and getting through that with snacks and a barf bag on my way to and from. And then I would put the footage on my hard drive and it was just stacking up. And then the fatigue would hit me and then I wouldn't edit and I would feel really, really shitty. So it was definitely like mentally really tough for me. Dreams were insane in the first trimester, like so vivid, so real, like the weirdest things I've never dreamt of before. I would wake up like, did that really just happen? Like so wild. So I've heard that before, that could happen, pregnancy dreams and stuff. Definitely did with me. Breast tenderness right away, very, very sensitive. I went to my first ultrasound. I'll put that right over here at 10 weeks, and I got to see the baby and hear the heartbeat for the first time. So that was the most magical experience of my life. It was amazing. I'll never forget that day and that moment. So that was awesome. And that's when I was able to talk to my doctor and meet her and discuss the nausea and what to do about that. I did end up going on diclectin, which is it's the first medication that doctors offer and suggest to pregnant women. And I was on a pretty religious kind of dose, and it helped a little bit, not fully, and especially not in the mornings, but I was on it. Then the day came where I had to get hospitalized for vomiting for 15 hours plus. So there was one day where I was just so sick and couldn't keep anything down. Water, food, crackers, bread, nothing. I was at home here and I just couldn't get out of bed. A bag next to me, everything was coming up. Then I was starting to get dehydrated, so I would try to hydrate. That's coming up. Nothing would stay down. And it was starting to get to the point where I'm like, okay, this is 8 hours of this, 9 hours of this, 10 hours of this. I called the 811 hotline, explained my symptoms, and they gave me a like trick. If I could keep 1 teaspoon of Pedialyte every 2 minutes down for like an hour, then I don't have to go to the hospital, something like that. I couldn't keep anything down, and I knew that, but I tried anyway. So I ended up going to the hospital around 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock that evening, into the emergency room. I got seen maybe 45 minutes after waiting. I was there to get IVs, and they were treating me for hyperemesis, basically the excessive throwing up. I ended up staying overnight until the next day, hooked up to the IVs, getting rehydrated. I was still throwing up while I was there and dry heaving. There was literally obviously nothing left anymore, but just the act was still going on, I guess, from being so dehydrated and they wouldn't let me drink anything, even though at this point I'm so thirsty. It's now 15 hours, 16 hours, 17 hours, and I'm so thirsty, and I'm like literally screaming in the emergency room, like, please give me water. Like, but they couldn't, because it would just keep the cycle going of throwing up. So I had to just wait and let the IVs work. But I waited so long before I got the IVs in, and I was just so thirsty. Anyway, it was just like an absolute nightmare, and it was just really, really awful. But luckily everything was okay with the baby at that point. Like, they did an ultrasound and everything. They just said, you're just really like sick with hyperemesis and like the vomiting. So that happened, and then I was like back on even more of like an intense dose of diclectin. Leading up to that point, I had lowered my dose of diclectin to maybe like only once a day or something, but leaving the hospital, I went back to 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 2 at night. Reason why is that it takes a while to kick in. So the 1 in the morning counters the 1 in the afternoon, the 1 in the afternoon counters the evening, and the ones in the evening, which you take 2 if you're very sick in the morning, will counter and help the morning. My mornings were always rough, and I always had to like run down and eat whatever. So that was that, and I was like, damn man, if this is pregnancy, like this is, wow, like I don't know. I've heard of this happening to women. I've heard of the nausea, but I just didn't, for some reason, think I would be like that for some reason. I just never a nauseous person to begin with. I'm like, I'll probably be fine. Wasn't the case. The hormone fluctuation and everything was just very, very intense, I guess, for my body and me adjusting. So that was that. After that, I never got off the diclectin. I kept going with it, and it really was helping, and I got to a point where it was manageable. I also learned that eating something like a peanut butter and jam sandwich at 10 o'clock at night before bed was very helpful for the next day. Oh yeah, by the way, my eating throughout all this time was little bits very frequently. My doctor also, I'm seeing my doctor in between, and she's heard of people being extremely nauseous like this the entire pregnancy. So this was not news to her. I was being followed closely with her though. And because of all the vomiting, they did want to see me, you know, a good amount of time. And they, you know, they were saying like, if you don't start gaining weight, like I was losing weight, but I was pregnant. So like you need to start gaining weight. As of now going forward, you definitely need to start gaining weight. That was my goal. And I was really trying to eat more, eat a lot, and like eat well and just manage the nausea. Peeing more frequently started right away. Like almost as soon as I got pregnant, like I was getting so thirsty that I was drinking more throughout the day, which means at night I was peeing. Like I would go regularly, I would not have to get up at night to pee in the middle of the night. But then it started like once or twice a night I would get up to pee. So that started right away. In terms of my skin was breaking out a lot in the first trimester. Inflammation, I was swollen in my face. Like I wasn't gaining on my body, but I was swollen in my face a lot, probably due to all of the vomiting and like waking up and like tilting over and just all the pressure of throwing up all the time. So inflammation and skin was not doing well. Skin also probably because I was not eating the best. Like, you know, you're eating whatever you can literally fathom the thought of like putting in your mouth, like crackers, bread. I wasn't eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. I wasn't eating a lot of protein. Like it's just like not crap, but it's just not the healthiest diet. So my skin took a beating and was very swollen in the face. Cravings, wasn't really craving anything too wild because I could barely like think about food. Like it was just, oh yeah, I should eat something because I'm gonna feel really sick. The prenatals that I'm taking are the Ritual prenatals. They are awesome. They don't taste gross. They don't make me react. They have like a nice lemony kind of taste. It doesn't taste gross, and it has like a delayed effect. So, you know, you're not gonna feel it right away when you take it. And yeah, they've been great, and I'm on the subscription, so it comes every second month or whatever, and all is good there. Now, leading into the second trimester, 12 weeks to 14 weeks, the nausea was getting better, and it was definitely subsiding. Like I felt a difference. Maybe not so much in the morning. The mornings stayed always consistently like not great, where I would have to run down and get toast right away. Toast and peanut butter and banana has been like my pregnancy food. Like if I had to pick something, it would be that. The rest of the days though, leading into the second trimester, that in between of the first and second trimester, those couple of weeks, I felt a difference. And I'm like, what happened to my mom? She said, Veronica, you're gonna see one day to the next, it's gonna stop. And I'm like, how? Like I've been dealing with this for more than 3 months now, like every day intense. Like how is it just one day to the next? And really, genuinely, one day to the next, I felt like a new woman. What a change in my mood and my morale. Like I was excited about food, as I was excited to eat. I was putting on a good amount of weight. Like, I felt better about my body, about feeding my baby. I was able to make, like, I was excited to make healthy meals too. Like, I was indulging in what I wanted to indulge in, whether that was sweets or salt. But then I would also like be excited to make like a really good healthy green smoothie with like avocado and spinach and fruits and like just good quality ingredients. Oh, I got on like a kale spinach kick at one point. Like, leading into the second trimester is when it started to subside, and then I got really, really excited and just really happy, and that was the end of the nausea saga thing. Going from the first to the second trimester, I was definitely able to get back into work and back into the swing of things. I was definitely still behind and I was definitely playing catch up, but I felt like I had 10 times more energy. So that is amazing. I'll do a whole video on the second trimester for that. But yeah, the first trimester was definitely rough for me. It was rough physically from the fatigue, from the throwing up. It was rough mentally because I felt so behind on my work and I felt like really down on myself for not getting as much things done. Like the house, I let the house go. Like I could barely take care of myself. Like I couldn't take care of the house, forget it. So then walking around a house that didn't look the way I wanted it to look like really bothered me. I like to live a certain way and I couldn't do what I wanted to do. So that was really like played a really big role mentally, and then emotionally you went from not being pregnant to being pregnant. So all of the hormones and the emotions, but so grateful for the experience, grateful to be pregnant, grateful for my baby, and I'm just very, very excited for what's to come. So that is pretty much my first trimester recap. There was lots to discuss and say. I wish I got this out sooner, but I literally, like, I did not do the things that I planned to do. I was like, I'm gonna be pregnant, I'm gonna do this, that, I'm gonna be so ahead of the game and so ahead of the ball with the nursery and all of that. No, the first trimester slowed me down a lot. It slowed me down in my work. I abandoned YouTube for a bit. Like I just needed to just take care of myself. And now I'm feeling a lot better, so I can get back to doing what I want to do. I hope this was interesting to you. And if you're pregnant and listening to this, I hope you picked up on some tricks or tips that worked for me. And if you're not pregnant, I hope this was still interesting to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my second trimester video.